But first, I gotta tell you. So, here it is. If there's no gravity to defy the law of gravity, the gravity could never be defied because the defied could never happen. That goes for every situation because gravity is the standard ground. And when the standard ground is set in place, everything bounces equally off the standard ground to make fibers and electrons go through the gravity bouncing equally off itself till it can go from standard ground to the atmosphere, and electrons can eventually code themselves into place from the top of the atmosphere to the bottom of the atmosphere repeatedly until it bounces equally all around the entire globe till it eventually creates a safe environment for the community of electrons, aka atoms, to make a safe oxygen source till dirt sprouts life, then life takes its toll until till oxygen source till dirt sprouts life and life takes its toll through plants, eventually bugs, then birds, then dinosaurs, as a cocoon, then created itself to attract a meteorite that made a new source of energy to manipulate from all throughout time itself till it created a new life form, and which happened to the end of what we know as our civilization today. Babies came from an energy from a meteorite conducting itself in the air of fiber, mud, dust, and oxygen in a living bulge like evil elves in The Lord of the Rings and spit out a baby eventually in the beginning of time, and it was a giant. So on and so forth, giants became smaller because of the usage of food and sperm becoming dense. And the food that was placed in the body made the baby smaller when they were born. Creativity was used for babies as a gift from the sack that was spewing out these babies, and life also gave geniosity to babies through the sack, and it was like a Bluetooth theme where the sack could sense danger for when dinosaurs were amongst us, and wouldn't spew out a baby until it was time for a until it was time for safety, until safety was there. Let's just say that. And eventually, weapons were made because of geniosity from the sack, the energy source from the meteorite. And to protect themselves, they had to create those weapons, so on and so forth, yada yada yada. And once came creativity, then came resource, then came active violence. And I want to say this. I have some smart quotes I like to say. I mean, that was just a jumble, but I think you get it. Um, you can't expect anything from anybody until you expect it from yourself first. Don't live in the past or dwell on it, because living in the past and dwelling on it will not get you further in life. For your present and your future, therefore saying, live for the present and for your future in the present moment for your future. It's not a mental problem or a mental illness, it's just a mental difference. And those are my quotes. And honestly, I mean, the way I see life is different from everybody. I've had somebody look at my quotes before and they didn't necessarily get it and they worked with physics. But I'm about to explain why all of this makes perfect sense. The beginning of time, there was just a sack of energy that time had opened up, and things became active in that energy sack. And that's when all of those things, like the atoms going up and back down all around the world, after dirt had been made, oxygen came above from the dirt. Trees started growing when the air was in a stable mind of itself, and things of that nature. And that's when life made living things from the energy that was activated. And honestly, I believe that everything had to have come from a cocoon of some sort. And that's why I'm saying that life started out from energies from a meteorite, if not one, possibly more, mixing together, finding its way into a cocoon of some sort, hibernating, mixing, energy coming, more materials formulating, and I mean, all around it made a cocoon, nested, and life came about for humans. I don't know if all my knowledge is, perfect sense, but it's just a theory to think about. Thank you. Have a good night.